If you were a dragon, what material would you like your scales to be made of?
Ooh.
Ooh, okay.
Do you want to roll for it? Or you just have, do you guys have, are you scared? Are you scared of the answer?
All right, let's roll real quick.
Okay.
All right. I got a 15.
12.
13.
Peps.
What if I am a dragon? So
what is your scales made of? What color are your scales then, my guy?
My scales are probably made of sugar because like I'm constantly baking. And
that checks out.
I did for a game I created a pink dragon wyrmling that had a cotton candy breath weapon. So I think that's what mine would be. I would just be like shooting out hot sugar and I'd be like a candy dragon.
A candy dragon. This is how you lure the children in.
Yes. I'm that witch from Hansel and Gretel.
100%.
That is so clever.
Oh, man. Mine would just be an entirely made of metal dragon. And, like, I feel like this, like, is a call out to Acker whose bones were, like, Casey's old character's bones were metal. But I was like, no. I remember when I was in my old raving days, and you have to have those, like, hoods that you would wear, like, with, like, the long ears, like, that you're usually made of fluffy material for, like, when you're at EDM shows and things like that. Yeah. I bought one that was metal and made of scale mail metal, and it weighed like 20 pounds. And it was my favorite article of clothing I owned. So if I just had entire body covered in metal scales, I think that would be pretty dope. It sounds really cool when you're walking too.
Yeah, man.
I'm still hanging on to the Pedro Pascal piece, so I would say Beskar armor.
Ooh, very fancy.
And then it's like, don't even bother trying to penetrate this.
There's a clip.
Unless you are Pedro Pascal.
Unless you're Pedro Pascal.
Free entrance.
Welcome to the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're going to get.
Welcome to another It's a Mimic episode where we continue our conversation on Dragons in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I'm Pepperina, and with me are Casey and Megan, and this episode is called Amethyst Dragons, a Singular Force of Nature.
In this episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, this panel of Dungeon Masters is going to share as much knowledge as an Amethyst Dragon hoards and explore the lore and mechanics of the most powerful gem dragon in 5th edition.
But before we get started, I want to ask, the art of these guys in Fizzbands has thick, blunt tails, wide hips, and thick thighs, and yet fairly dainty, tiny wings. Is there a dragon design in 5th edition that annoys you? This one.
Just this one?
Now that you mention it.
I like this one. I like that these are thick.
I was gonna say, thick thighs save lives. We love a good thick bitch. But like, it's the tiny wings. It's the tiny wings for me. I'm like, I just want wings to be able to carry, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, they can be dainty, but don't look like they're struggling. You know? Like, when I'm taking off, don't struggle.
I feel like it's a dragon that just has never missed leg day, but has missed every other day on the planet.
Every other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
it's
is there
just working out the bottom half?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair though, if you don't have to fly around often and all you're doing is collecting stuff in your hoard and people are doing it for you, I feel like you would end up being the fat dragon. You know what I mean?
With dainty wings.
With dainty wings. Just a sprinkle of femininity.
Yeah.
Yeah, in general, I don't think there's any that super annoy me where I look at it and it's like, really? Oh, like there's so much variety. I like it.
Yeah, I enjoy the differences in all of them. So like I enjoy that they're all different and they all have unique traits and stuff. So I don't know if there's one that particularly annoys me. I do wish the dragon turtle was a little more dragony and not so turtly.
It's the feet that really draw me to the fact that this is a turtle and not a dragon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like that one could use a little more dragony to it, but they're still very cool.
All I can hear like in my head is like that audio that's like, I like tall girls, I like skinny girls, I like itty bitty girls, I like I'm like, I feel like someone needs to remake that song, but for dragons.
For dragons.
You know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty sure the internet has done that. And I'm going to try and find
Probably.
it.
Send it our way.
Yeah.
Or we can just ask Reddit to do it because they come through for us.
Actually, yeah. If it's not made, internet of the world, today I'm not pissing you off. Today I'm coming at you with a request. Please give me that sound bite, but turn it into dragons. Thank you.
Please and thank you. All right. Before we get any deeper into this, let's cut to an ad break.
We've previously covered quite a bit in our discussion on dragons in 5th edition. For all those episodes and more, you can follow or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and dozens of other podcast apps. If you'd like to support us, you can donate through the website, check out our store, or join our Patreon and get access to other episodes and series. If you'd like to pay for some ad space on It's a Mimic, or just send a shout out to a friend, please reach out to us through our email and website that are listed in the show notes below.
Hello, Peps.
Hi.
We're going to get back to you probably talking about Amethyst Dragons. I just wanted to take a break to talk about an actual dragon-related product because I want to talk about minis, and you are the other mini person on the podcast.
Yes.
No, it's not to say that you're small, but like, well, I mean, I don't think you're large, but like, you and I are, I think, the biggest fans of playing with minis.
Yes.
And of course, you paint minis and whatnot. Do you have a 3D printer?
I have 4 3D printers.
Jesus, okay.
Maybe 5. I can't remember. 4 or 5.
This explains your dragon collection. We've got one of our patrons, Robert, mentioned a friend of his on the It's a Mimic Discord a while back. And this friend who goes by, this is going to piss me off the whole time. I'm going to say it for you Americans, but the rest of us know the proper way to say this. MZ420. That's on all of his social media and his online presence is MZ420. Twitter tells me his name is Miguel, so Miguel, if you're listening to this, hello. But he creates STL files for 3D printing for all kinds of models. So Robert mentioned it before, but now he actually bought some ad space because he wants to make sure that the word gets spread even further. And I don't blame him because the models I've seen are fucking incredible. And it seems like he's often handing out free STLs on Reddit and other platforms, and all of his shit is free. And there are more than a few. Robert told me that there are over 5,000 different models, and I'm inclined to believe him because, like, even as I'm clicking around, I saw multiple poses for a couple of different dragons and stuff as well, which is really neat. So, like, he does the model once and gives you, like, 6 poses or whatever, and you choose one you like. If you like minis, for those of you listening, drop everything and check out MZ4250 and the massive quantity of high-quality, free 3D modeling of D&D characters, creatures, and more. And some are pretty funny too. And I just wanted to share my screen here with you, perhaps, and show you some of these because I have been like giggling.
I flipped around a few of them, and like I loved everyone that I've seen so far.
That is our fat, chunky Thumberchild.
Yes, I actually think I have this mini.
Do you?
Yeah, I have the chunk. I painted it like an amethyst dragon, actually, because amethyst dragons are chunky.
They are chunky.
Yeah, so they're big guys, which you've heard about in this episode. Yeah, I have that one.
I've seen actually a couple of different poses for this one as well. So like he's got a couple of casual poses and like it's pretty funny. So,
yeah, it was a fun one to paint for sure.
I went over to check out a link that I got sent for a bunch of different models as well. Here's some of the other ones from Tome of Beasts, right? Void Dragon. You see it's got that weird halo thing.
I like that its tongue is sticking out to the side like a dog panting.
We have the Wind Dragon Wyrmling. Adult Cave Dragon. It looks like it's blind and it's got like insect legs.
A lot of legs, yeah. I like that there's different ages for the dragons too.
Yeah, right. Like here's a mithril dragon as well. And here we go. Here's all the different poses, right? The mithril dragon was like clearly taking off, and then one that's standing on the ground, and then we have the void dragon who's up on his hind leg. Like there's a lot of really cool shit here. Here's an older wind dragon, obviously, but then like even the high quality, the dragons are great, and then we get like a bugbear rogue. That is probably my favorite bugbear mini that I've seen.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
But the last one that I wanted to touch on was the Amethyst Dragon one. Let me see if I can zoom in. There we go. So this is great. There are 6 different poses for this one. And again, chunky boy, you're right. Look at that tail.
Yep, they are thick.
Then you've got one where it's clearly flying, and one like another. almost an evil grin on his face as he's on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
The wings, though, are incredible.
Yeah, I love the grins on their faces.
Oh yeah,
It gives it a lot of personality.
and then this one, like, he looks like a happy puppy in this one. This
Yeah.
Sitting down waiting for scraps. Like, there's a lot of really cool shit going on, a lot of personality in every one of these,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of great detail. So
I like how they did the crystals around it too, like, because it's hard to do floating crystals on a mini, you know. So I think the approach they did looks pretty nice.
I absolutely love this. Like, I'm really a fan of these. And the moment that Robert sent me the email, he's like, "Hey, yeah, pick." He's like, "I don't care which other host, someone who just loves minis," and I'm like, "I know exactly who. I got this." But anyway, all of these are free. It's all good-natured, and the artist, again, MZ420, check the show notes below, operates entirely on donations. So, like, people should just go support him, whether it's through the Patreon or other means. He's got a lot of social media accounts, so I'm going to compile a link, like a bunch of links on all of them, on a Reddit post so everybody can check out his work. I'm really entertained, so I'll probably be posting other bits and pieces on Instagram and shit over the next few days too, because, you know, I'm stoked about this stuff. But he's been doing this for a long time. He's clearly got not just passion, but talent. And I know that he does, you know, clearly memes, right? Because of the Hydra Goose, right? And clearly D&D and Pathfinder. But he also does just like unique pieces as well. I think he gets inspired by RDCs online and then builds them and then comes up with these great poses as well. So I'm a big fan of this guy.
Speaking on the unique, I believe there was like a Baba Yaga's taco truck in there somewhere, and I absolutely love that one.
Everyone should check out MZ4250. Tomorrow, we have another mailbag episode where 3 hosts answer 20 more questions about D&D and non-D&D related topics. Also tomorrow, Megan and Roman return with the next installment of their discussion about Legend of the Five Rings. And on Thursday, patrons of Copper Wyrmling tier and above will have access to the next Campaign Builder episode, in which Terry and I go over how we select different creatures for different encounters. But for now, let's finally get back to Amethyst Dragons.
Like all the other dragons that we've done, we're going to start with the Fizbin quotes, in which we get 2 for Amethyst Dragons. First one is, which came first, the gem or the dragon? Not a riddle, actually. It was the dragon. And the second is, I once sought life advice from an Amethyst Dragon who specialized in that sort of thing. I told her all my flaws and unwanted behaviors, and she prescribed the best elixir. Stop doing those things. I still think back on that visit in trying times.
This is always scolding their child.
Yes. Right. So, as a hatchling, Amethyst Dragon's scales are a fairly dull purple. Like we've seen with the other gem dragons, their colors become more vibrant with age. They become this rich purple, resembling the amethyst stones they are named for, with translucent wings and seemingly shimmering white underside. Their pupils fade over time, so by the age of Ancient, they are left with glowing white orbs as eyes. Looking at the picture, these dragons seem to have some definite power in their builds. They are thick with 2 C's, and like the other gem dragons we've covered, they have floating amethyst horns and spines held by their telekinetic force that moved and shift with their moods. If you wanted to explore the multiverse in your campaign, Amethyst Dragons would be a great way to do so. They are really into the fact that there are multiple worlds in the material plane, and especially that each world has unique echoes of each dragon. They also spend a lot of time trying to understand the cosmic forces of the outer planes, trying to understand the opposing sides of good versus evil and chaos versus order, so they can properly counsel others to accept this needed balance. However, they do have a deep hatred for the Far Realm and the corruption that comes with it. So should your party find themselves against an aberration, seeking out an Amethyst Dragon to help could be beneficial. There is one exception to this hatred, though, and that is flumps. Amethyst Dragons love flumps, as they remind them that even in the darkest places, allies can still be found. And I love that for them.
I like how Casey just literally put a thumbs up on Zoom.
Yeah.
You're like, how did I even do that?
I don't even know.
We love a good flump.
Yeah, we love a good flump.
Thumbs up over here.
That's adorable. All right, so looking at creating an amethyst dragon, like all the other ones we have covered, we get these fun little tables in Fizbins. I've picked out a couple examples on each table. For personality traits, I see far more kaleidoscopic reality than you do, or than any of yourselves do, really. And what use is vast knowledge or insight if it is not shared with those who can appreciate it? For ideas, I have responsibility. Having knowledge and power gives one a responsibility to those who have less of either, and that's considered lawful. And then I have knowledge is power. Power must be used, and I use it. Your concerns are irrelevant, and that's considered evil. So I really like that these take the same idea of knowledge and sort of flip it, where one is good and one is evil. So I think that's a fun way to like do two different like sides of the same coin, sort of, idea.
Yeah, because Jekyll and Hyde is of the same mind and the same knowledge. One is evil, one is good.
Mm-hmm. So, getting into their spell casting, these are all a 1 a day. For Wyrmling, we have Protection from Evil and Good, Tinser's Floating Disc, and Unseen Serpent. This is one of the interesting ones where going from Wyrmling to Young, they switch spells. Not all of them do, but some of them do, and I don't really know why. So at Young, we get Blink, Dispel Magic, Protection from Evil and Good, and Sending. At Adult, we're adding Control Water, and at Ancient, we're adding Freedom of Movement, Globe of Invulnerability, and Plane Shift. For Adventure Hooks, I have an Amethyst Dragon recruits a group of adventurers to physically trade bodies with adventurers from another world so that each can carry out certain tasks before swapping back. I think that would be like a fun little sort of one shot for your group to switch bodies with somebody else and be in a different world, as a little break from your main campaign.
Interesting. Yeah.
And an Amethyst Dragon Wyrmling is the actually temporally displaced form of an ancient Amethyst Dragon who already exists in the same timeline. So these guys get very like timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly sort of with their stuff. You could play around with a lot of fun things between the multiverse and the timeline. Amethyst Dragon's layers aren't necessarily in a specific region like other dragons. They're more concerned about the build of it than the location. Key components are caves, secluded bodies of water, at least one submerged entrance, open spaces, connecting tunnels, and dead ends. They are happiest if in a mountain and secret waterfall entrances are involved, but they aren't necessary. They like to use their flight and teleporting abilities to move through their layers. You will find amethyst crystals growing all around the layer, forming huge geodes split open to show off their contents. These crystals tend to glow with the dragon's presence and become a deeper purple the older the dragon gets. We are given a map of what this might look like with 5 features you may find. We are given 2 entrances to this layer, one in the cliff face and one secret submerged entrance the dragon uses to secretly enter or leave in emergencies. The main cave is a network of winding tunnels with smooth stone surfaces worn down from the years of water running through. The air could be damp and cool. Even though these layers are deep underground, they do have a faint glow to them. This is caused by the large amethyst crystals growing on the walls and ceilings that put off a 30-foot radius glow of dim light. I think my favorite feature is the 2 chimneys connecting the upper and lower levels of the layer. They seem pretty straightforward at first, but the dragon has warped them with its magic, creating a frustrating puzzle for your players. Moving upward in the chimney will actually bring you back to the lower levels, and moving down will bring you right back to the upper levels. If a creature or object is dropped into one of these chimneys, it will continue to free fall until an outside force is able to stop it. This magic vanishes within 1d10 days of the dragon's death, and that brings us to the upper levels, if we are lucky enough to figure out this puzzle. This is where the dragon is most likely to sleep. The dragon divides its hoards up between its sleeping chamber and a chamber on the far side of this area, and it will use its magic to appear to be sleeping on both hoards, giving intruders the impression there are 2 dragons here. I like to imagine that like something fell in one of those tunnels and the dragon died and it's just in free fall for days.
Yeah.
Like even if you kill the dragon and you fall through this tunnel, like if it pushes you back and you fall through it, you're just free falling for days until the spell drops.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what kind of Willy Wonka bullshit is this?
Yeah.
Like, but
I
amazing.
immediately,
Amazing Willy Wonka bullshit.
Yeah.
yeah. Like, if you guys have watched Loki, like where Loki ends up falling and he's stuck in a plane and he's falling for 30 minutes and he gets back out and he's like, I have been falling for 30 minutes.
This is where that comes from.
Thought of that.
Yes. All right, so looking at their lair actions, we have 3 of them. Beguiling Whispers. The dragon telepathically whispers to one creature within range of its telepathy, which is 120 feet. The creature must make a wisdom save or be charmed until initiative count 20 on the next round. Once charmed, the creature obeys to the best of its abilities to commands that don't directly harm it. Imprisoning Force, the dragon casts the Force Cage spell using its spell save DC and using no components. The spell ends if the dragon uses this layer action again or dies. And Spatial Projection, the dragon chooses a space it can fit into within its lair. It exists in its own space and the chosen space simultaneously until initiative count 20. On the next round, whenever it moves, it takes an action. It chooses which version of itself is moving or acting. If an effect or attack can target both of the dragon's spaces at the same time, the dragon is affected only once. So that one's sort of a lot like mechanically, but I think it's very cool that, like, if your party splits, it doesn't matter. It could show up in that spot and still be attacking both of them.
I love that in the sense where like your team will definitely split the party to do a thing. And it's like, okay, well, you're both fighting it still, so who cares? Like it's like the DM failsafe of, okay, fine, you want to split the party, but then you're just gonna be fighting the same thing completely separately. Congratulations.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. And the first group that discovers it, if one of the members has like message or something and it's like, oh, we found it. Okay, great. It pops up in the other spot and it's like, no, wait, we found it. Oh shit.
And it's very like, you don't know how many dragons are going to be in this place when you go there because it uses this magic to make you think there's more than it. But like, what if there is? What if it's a dragon couple? And then there's 4 dragons because they can both do this.
It's just an infinite amount of dragons.
Yeah,
because they
like
also have like Wyrmling bibbies and like, he's like, oh, okay.
All right, so that brings us to our regional effects. They have a background check. Once per day, the dragon can cast the legend lore spell using no components, naming any person, place, or object within 1 mile of the layer as the spell's subject. Crystal Profusion. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just love that idea of being like, it would be boisterously full of itself too. Like someone would be like, I'm looking for this item, and it'd be like, it's right here. I found it.
I found it.
And then I'd be like, how do you know that? None of your business. I just know that it's there.
I just know. I just know things.
I have a measure.
Then we have Crystal Profusion. Amethyst crystals and geodes form along muddy shores and lake beds within 6 miles. Thriving water life. Fish and aquatic beasts reproduce rapidly and thrive in bodies of water within 6 miles of their lair. Foraging in these waters yields twice the usual amount of food. Watery sight. Water within 6 miles of the lair is a conduit for the dragon's psionic presence. As an action, the dragon can cast the clairvoyant spell with no components and target any body of water in the region. Aquatic life goes back to normal in 1d10 days of the dragon's death, and crystals and geodes grow at a now normal rate. I found it interesting with these. It says in their like description of their lair that they're not in any specific thing, but these are very specific to like water-based areas, like muddy shores and water like aquatic life. So like the description says they could really be anywhere, but I think they really need to at least be somewhere with water. Like they couldn't be in a frozen tundra or anything like that.
Yeah, it's like because you would almost because you read it because you're like this would be a coastal dragon. I'm like, but would it actually be? But then like I was actually going to Google where amethysts grow.
Yeah,
and like I'm gonna look it up right now.
Okay, but like yeah, it couldn't be a desert dragon because then there's no water for 6 miles for them to use any of these traits.
Yeah, you could. All of the gems, though, and the crystals growing would be absolutely beautiful in a frozen tundra.
They would.
So that could be a hook where they ally with something that can melt and make a pool for themselves and like maintain a body of water nearby despite it being a cold temperature or something.
That is true.
So amethysts grow where it is moist, obviously. Like that's kind of how crystals grow to begin with. But like some specific places are like normally hot springs, like Texas or Pennsylvania, like warm, like almost, yeah.
Yeah, I do imagine it more like not ocean water, but like a freshwater pool or
like like on a mountain's cliff or something like that, where there's like a bunch of hot springs that might be or what have you, and then like there are layers within the caves, but like your clue of where you're finding it is you're coming up to a bunch of muddy hot springs or something like that. Interesting.
So yeah, like the other gem dragons, the favorite treasure of the amethyst dragons is amethyst in any form. They aren't particularly interested in coins or gold, but they are interested in metal items with a silver finish. Other than gems and shiny silver things, these dragons love items that expand knowledge, especially knowledge of other realms and worlds. Books, tapestries, scrolls are all commonly found amongst these dragons' hoards. They are interested in unique art objects, possibly from one of these far-off places, and want magical items that help them get there. So anything with teleporting magic is going to be very intriguing to them. Due to the odd magic in Amethyst Dragon's layers, it is possible for items to be in the hoards of the dragon and its echoes. We do get another random table of art objects. And I've picked a life-size human skull carved from a single piece of crystal, including a hollow interior, and an etched crystal that projects a star map showing an unfamiliar star field and constellation when set on top of a light source.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's what we have for our base amethyst dragon. And I've got some questions for you ladies if we want to roll some dice. I got an 8.
12.
6.
All right. So before we jump into the mechanics, how do we feel about the lore surrounding these dragons?
I like that they're almost like the space dreamers and dwellers. They like the idea of traveling within, wherever they can go, right? And to your point of like wondering why they changed their spells, I was thinking that they probably changed them because when they're younger, their spells are very much around keeping themselves safe and alive. And then as they grow up, they're like, well, now I need spells that can take me further into like further into the distance, further into different places, right? And I think that that's something that's very interesting because normally when you have an argument or trying to convince a dragon to do a thing, you convince it with treasures and things like that. But being able to convince a dragon of like travel or stories of a different plane is something that I feel is very interesting and unique to these ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the different, like the multiverse stuff. I like their treasure can be in both theirs and their echoes hoards at the same time. That would be really interesting to play around with, even if it's just like a projection of it. So if you think you've found it as a group and then you go to pick it up and it's not really there.
Yeah.
That would be in like, oh, sorry, that's actually in this realm over there. So you have to go find a portal now. It'll be right in this spot, but you have to find a portal to get there.
Yeah, there's so many cool things to work with here. And I do like that you can maybe focus on not treasure, but like you're seeking out a scroll that somebody like negotiated a trade with this amethyst dragon, 200 years ago. And they have this scroll and that's the one that we need to find. Things like that. Makes it a little bit more interesting than just an item, because then you have to find the scroll and then maybe decipher the scroll and then use the scroll in order to do, your next thing.
Yeah. All right. So we've
And-
talked. Oh, go ahead.
No, and I just love all of like the trickery and mind fuckery that they can do, and it can be based out of good. They're just silly and like wanting to just mess around with things.
Yeah.
Or it could be on the evil side too, depending on how you want to play it. But that's kind of fun too.
Yeah. We've talked a little bit about the spells. Do you like these spells? Do you think they fit the theme appropriately?
I think that they do. I mean, to my point, as I said, I feel like they seem a little bit boring when you read them at first. Like if I was to read the mechanics and the spells at first without reading like the backstory behind this type of dragon, I'd be like, that's boring as fuck.
Mhm.
But then when you read when you read like a little bit more of their lore, you find out that they're travelers, they're knowledge seekers. Like it fits what they need to be able to fulfill those needs as that type of dragon. And I think that's a good thing that they made that correlation. Like not all dragons need to be, destructive and maniacal. They could just be, out here to just be nice and pretty and thick, Sometimes you just need to be thick and adorable and want to know things. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I
They're
think they
living
work.
the life. That's everybody's dream. I just want to be thick and adorable.
That should be the name of this episode. I just want to be thick and adorable.
Yeah. And they might use these to like if they discover something really interesting and they want to get in closer, but then they want a quick escape. Like you might not even know that they're going in and checking you out. But if you have, say, someone has high passive perception, you might glimpse them, but then they just can use a spell to get out. And that might be like the first glimpse that you might be dealing with a dragon that has these kinds of spells as well.
Yeah, I think thematically they very well fit. The control water makes sense because they have so much aquatic things surrounding them and can talk through the water. Blink going in and out of different veils and existences and stuff, and plane shift and all. I think it all adds in.
It all comes together in the end,
together. It all makes sense. All right. And how do we feel about the layer details and regional effects?
I think they compile quite nicely together, like to our earlier conversation about like where you would probably find one. And it does look like little ponds, lakes, like water is required, but not necessarily, it doesn't have to be like a large body of water. And I think that's really neat. Like, I feel like I can imagine them, like if you think of the way crystals are made, they're made like within the veins of rocks. So I almost feel like if you were to have like a cave or a layer of one of these, it would just have like little pools and like shallow little water areas that are connected with little streams. So that way they can utilize the regional effects of like their water controlling capabilities. And I just think that's really neat. It's a different way to kind of like explore, right? Is like, we don't use water a lot unless you're drowning in D&D. And so I thought that that's a really good additive piece. And then just the fact that, with their... Sorry, I've got my like morning phlegm going on. The wildlife one. So the fact that like it breeds more wildlife, technically, like more aquatic wildlife in its area. So like that I think is a really cool regional effect, is that you will probably find a lot of fishing villages around where these are, because you're going to find more fish, you're going to find more of that wildlife around. And it's not detrimental to the area. It actually probably makes it more flourishing and more attuned to wanting to be there. And that might even be a hint that something's bad has happened to the dragon, is that the fish starts to disappear. Or like it's a bad fishing season. Why was it a bad fishing season? Oh, because we've been getting our fish from the fact that there's been a dragon that's been living there for years that's now gone for some reason. Right. So I just think that it's a really good thematic thing to utilize. So yeah,
I love that too. Because many times when you recognize you are entering a dragon lair, most times there's maybe a potential sense of dread. like it's concerning, but in this scenario, it's probably magical. Like you feel excited and like it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and there might be communities that are thriving due to the like layer details and the things that it's contributing back to its environment, which is kind of fun.
This is our final gym dragon, so I've been on all the episodes. For the regional effects, it seems that they all have like one unique one, and then the other ones are all fairly the same but with more flavor of the dragon itself. So I like the background check is different with this one. And I think that really fits with their like need for knowledge and counseling and that sort of thing that they are into. Just being able to know things about anything that comes within a mile of them, I think fits really well with these. The thriving water life we found in other ones, like I think it's the Emerald, attracts giant squids specifically because that's their favorite thing to eat.
How convenient that your one ability is to attract your favorite food.
Right.
I would like to attract a lot of macaroni and cheese. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Let's have all the cheese in my area, please. Thank you.
But yeah, to your point, like even like non-gem dragons sometimes be like the trees in the area grow, or like it's just more like life filled. And then, but then there's also the dragons that are like, some of the chromatic ones will be like, it's like detriment, like everything's dead, everything's whatever, right? Like so I just like that this one's just like, I like fish.
Yeah, I really like that about, like, they just specifically gather things that they want to eat. Like, they don't care about it. Like, that's the only reason that they do this, is because they want more food.
And they're like, why are all these humans moving in? Like, I don't understand.
I don't understand. They're taking
and
all
as you
my
get
food.
to like the adult versions, I think they also, you know, they would seek you out when they learn that you're around, because they were like, oh, somebody's here, and like would come, and you might have no idea that it's been tracking you and following you for a long time. And then yes, you will encounter it in its like layer underground, but it's like, oh yeah, like I know all of you guys' names, I know like your abilities.
And that's the thing, if you come across like an Amethyst Dragon, it clearly allowed you to get it close enough, because it's like, I don't see you as a threat.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I knew you were there the whole fucking time.
You're not sneaking up on these, like they know that you are coming.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part of their layers though is the chimneys, that with the going up and down
Oh
thing.
my God.
Like that could really fuck up a party.
That has Adam written all over it. Like Adam would do that, and we would spend 3 fucking hours trying to figure it out, and finally he would just be like, okay.
No, eventually one of us will be like, I'm tired of this, and we'll fireball it until it ends. But I was also just thinking that now I imagine Amethyst Dragons are also, because they know everything is going around within their 1 mile radius or whatever, and they know everyone's names, backgrounds, XYZ, this is their reality TV show. They find a layer where there is enough like human and or special activity happening where it is entertained. And so then it's just like, so it knows everything about you. It's like, oh my God, you went on a date with Kyle last week? Phenomenal. Like, I hear that it was terrible, and by here I know it was terrible, but I would love to hear your version of it. Like, it's watching Love is Blind, but it's like,
Oh my gosh.
That's why it's so thick. It's just eating popcorn and watching a show.
eating like it's homemade sushi and just hanging out, just like watching this reality TV.
It's eating popcorn shrimp, just.
Oh, I love it.
So cute.
Okay. So what do we think their eggs look like?
I mean, we always say the same thing with these ones, is that they're definitely like gemstone-esque. You know what I mean? But I would want these ones because amethysts are so like, I love amethysts. They're very pretty. If I was to say it's my favorite stone, I love a good amethyst. But I would want them to be encased in amethyst, like, because these ones grow in like large spikes. So I would want it to be like encased in like a giant spike of these. And then you have to get through the amethyst to get to the actual egg itself. Yeah. So yeah, that's my theory anyways.
I like that. I like the idea of, because they're like treasures can be in different echoes, cages, or like layers and stuff. The egg also like just sort of moving around the different echoes. Like they all sort of watch over it and can see it and protect it at the same time. I think that would be a really cool, like you never really know where it is. But it's in all of them at the same time. But yeah, I mean, they'd be purple and shiny and pretty and look like a geode. They have a lot of geodes, so like I think the outside would be sort of like that rocky like exterior, and as it like grows and cracks and stuff, you would see the purple coming through.
Yeah, I like that. And I want to think like perhaps like when it's hatching, how gems kind of float around like the larger dragons, maybe like the spikes and gems that are stuck around it as it hatches, they kind of just like float out a bit as it like hatches, and then they kind of fall to the ground. It's like a release of energy in the hatching.
Yeah.
That'd be cute.
Yeah. I was thinking they would almost
That'd
like
be
crack and
adorable.
shatter, and then you get a bunch of smaller like geodes
Yeah.
that end up in the water, and then that's where all the humans and shit find all their amethysts in their little ponds and stuff like that, is from the hatching of an egg.
Yeah.
So cute. All right, and that brings us to Wyrmlings, which is me, so we're going to hear me talk a little bit more. First, I've picked a couple of the things off of the creature connections. I really like the creature connection tables. I think they're a really like fun way to come up with backstory and history and even quest options for the dragons. So I have a half Amethyst Dragon cares for an Amethyst Dragon Wyrmling sibling after the disappearance of their dragon parent. And a cloister of flumps protects an Amethyst Dragon Wyrmling while feeding on the Wyrmling's excess psionic energy. I like that we now know a group of flumps is a cloister. And I like the idea of just flump babysitters for a little dragon Wyrmling.
Oh my gosh.
It's like the dragon that has nannies.
Yeah, has little flump nannies.
Yeah. So cute.
All right, so looking at their stats, at this point, they are a medium dragon that is typically neutral, and they have a CR of 4. They speak Draconic and have telepathy of 120 feet. Their natural armor is 17, with about 75 hit points. They have 30 feet walking, 60 feet flying, and 30 feet swimming. Their lowest stat is Dex with a +0, then Wisdom gets a +1. And Constitution, Intelligence, and Charisma all have a +3, and Strength is the highest with a +4, which is pretty impressive for a Wyrmling. For saving throws, they get Dex, Con, Wisdom, and Charisma. For skills, they are proficient in Arcana, Perception, Persuasion, and Stealth. They have damage resistance to Force and Psychic, and condition immunities to Frightened and Prone. I'm guessing this is due to the strength of their thick build. They can't be knocked over. They have blind sight of 10 feet and dark vision of 120 feet. And they are amphibious and can breathe in water and air. For attacks, they have a bite, which is a +6 to hit and does 1d10 +4 piercing and 1d8 force damage. They also have their breath weapon that recharges on a 5 or 6 called Singularity Breath. The dragon creates a shining bead of gravitational force in its mouth, then releases the energy in a 15-foot cone. Each creature in the area must make a DC 13 strength save. On a fail, they take 5d8 force damage, and its speed becomes 0 until the start of the dragon's next turn. On a success, the creature takes half damage, and its movement is not affected. So that's our Wyrmling.
I love that you mentioned that we love a good thick base.
We love it.
Yeah.
We love it.
Nice and sturdy.
Yes. All right. So let's roll for the next round of questions.
15.
8.
12.
I feel like I keep rolling 8s. I could be wrong, but
I didn't think I keep thinking like 12 is usually my regular number. Whereas I was like, nice solid 15. I'll take it.
you keep going first, Megan.
I know.
So, quest ideas. You got any?
I mean, you have to use the flumps. You just do. And I feel like this is going to be like, I would love it to be like a little layer. Again, I'm imagining there's like a fishing town, XYZ. Mm-hmm. And like you have a bunch of dragons that live within this mountain. And like they had like a big clutch. Like they had like many, many little babies. So there's little babies running around, lots of flumps running around. And then your group will come across a flump or whatever. And like, it's just out there to protect its dragon babies. Right. But it's lost its dragon baby. Yeah. And like, so now it's just like, I need you to help me find, because like, she's going to kill me. If I don't find him, I'm going to die. I need you to help me. So like, it's your quest to try and find this Wyrmling dragon because it like went off and ran away from its nanny. Like,
yeah. That was like basically my idea too. Like, I think that's just the best option for these.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
You can't.
Like, it's a classic story. It's super cute. And again, like players who haven't encountered dragons too much and see a dragon Wyrmling, they might be like, oh shit, And then it's like, oh wait, it's so cute.
It's so cute.
Yeah. But this one also doesn't speak common, I don't believe you said.
Wyrmlings typically do not. They speak Draconic and have the gem dragons have telepathy. But most across the board Wyrmlings do not have common yet.
Right. So yeah, it adds that barrier too of trying to corral a child that you can't communicate with.
Yeah. It's sort of like if you meet a toddler that's not your toddler and they like have their own way of communicating and only the mom knows what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know? Like the toddler will talk to you and you'll just look at the mom like what was that?
I do that all the time.
Yeah, the mom could be like, they're saying this.
Yeah, or it's just even that older sibling thing where like the older like adult dragons or like young dragons will speak for the young ones because they're just like, I get it, it's fine.
Yeah. And like that's the flump in this situation. Like the flump nanny. And you're like, what was that?
Love it.
All right, so role playing. How would you role play the Wyrmlings?
Like children. Because they have nannies, I feel like they are rambunctious, full of energy, constantly looking for the next interesting thing. Like I just imagine them being all over the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like not necessarily a calm dragon. I feel like they get their laziness as they get older, you know what I mean? But as younglings, I feel like they're running around exploring, and that's where they get their nature of wanting to be able to like see different places and see different planes, is because as kids, they're all over the place. Like, especially if they end up staying with like their adult or their ancient dragon mother who's traveling all the time. Like, I'm imagining this as parenting now in my head, where like, you know, when you have a kid that like doesn't know how to sit still because they're constantly on the go, we have to go to soccer practice. We have to do this. We have to do that. Whereas like this mother dragon is like, I need to go to this plane. I need to go to this place. I need to do this one today. Like, because they're constantly wanting to travel. These kids have no sense of stability and quiet at this age. So like, that's just how I imagine it. So if I was to role play one, it would have ADHD. Like, that's how I feel anyways.
Yeah, I was really identifying with that vibe as you were describing it. So I can confirm.
Yeah, and I think they would also be like a little bit sneaky in that like they like silver things. So they might like come up and like go up behind you and like open your pouch to try and like dig in and find something shiny. And you'd be like, hey, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then scurry away.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think they would be very curious. They would be that curious kid, definitely, wanting to know everything because they do collect knowledge and things. So they would have a million questions that you wouldn't be able to understand. So you'd have to have the flump translate it.
Yeah. Or the one person who speaks Draconic in your party will just be like, oh my God.
Because they have to answer every question.
Yeah. And every second question is, why?
Why?
But why?
Why? But they also have telepathy of 120 feet. So you would just hear in your head all these questions.
Yeah.
Like you can't even walk away because it's 120 feet. That they're just shooting questions at you.
Yeah.
Where are you going? Why are you going there? What is
Yeah. No, not waiting for any answers. Just like question after question. It's like, oh, who's that? Who's that with you? Who's that?
We're just constantly, why? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
All
right. So, exploration and clues. Do we have any ideas for that?
So I mean, for the Wyrmlings, like I feel like they'd be like around in the smaller ponds in the kind of area. So if you're going to probably come across a Wyrmling, I feel like you're going to come across them like at the base of their lair or their mountain, or they're going to go out into the hot springs or that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I also like the idea that like, and this is not lore, but I think it's really cute. And the idea of it is that as they're growing older, like their scales have amethyst in them. And so like, as they're like schlepping off and getting older, like there'll be trails of amethyst wherever they're going kind of thing. So I like the idea that you just suddenly find random piles of amethyst. It's because that's where a young Wyrmling had taken a nap, you know, but you'll find it near a hot spring where it wants to stay warm. You'll find it like, just like, cause it's running around traveling, seeing what it can see. Right. So it would just be like a massacred trail of disaster wherever it goes. Like its toys are left everywhere. It, like didn't clean up after itself, and like there's just this flump wandering around picking up rocks and putting them back where they were supposed to be. Like, stop making a mess.
Yeah. Like the biggest clue is just a very tired flump.
Yeah, very tired flump. I don't want to do this anymore.
Or like they might even like try and mess with you, like be up in a tree and be throwing like tiny little amethysts at you and like hitting you in the back of the head.
Amazing.
All right, so what about combat? Do you think these would be combative at all, or?
I don't think so. Again, I feel like if you're going to get close to one, it's because it doesn't see you as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's going to fight you right away.
Yeah.
I feel like it would only fight if it was attacked. And like, because they're like, oh, well, I know you. You're Kevin from this reality TV series that I enjoy. So they're going to want to play with you.
My mom was watching that last night.
Yeah, they're going to want to play with you. I feel like they would want to play with you, though. Like, they would want to be like, come join me on my adventure. And like, I just think they're really, I just imagine them as cute children.
All right, what about you, Casey? Do you think they'd?
Yeah, I think if you encountered them and it started even to seem threatening, like say it's like, oh, maybe we're gonna try and kidnap you or something, it would maybe use one of its abilities to distract or be like, look over here, and then it would just blink away or like get away, and then it would just disappear and you would not be able to find it. And that would be the extent of it using any of its abilities, like in combat, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, at this one, they have protection from evil and good, Tinser's floating disc, and unseen servant, which also unseen servant would be like the backup nanny.
I love it.
When the flump needs a break.
Yeah, so they would essentially like dash away.
Yeah.
Disengage and leave.
Well, with that, they do have their breath attack does give you 0 speed. So I do think if they did come into combat, they would just shoot that at you. And it does 5d8 force damage. That's a lot at this level. Like, it's a CR of 4. That's a big hit. But I think it would just try to stop you from moving so it could get away. And it has 60 feet of flying, so it could stop you and get out of there very quickly.
And this is the one that would go back to mom and say, this bitch attacked me. And then mom would be like,
and the mom's gonna be like, I saw the whole thing.
Yes, I know what happened. And it was your fault. Leave the humans alone.
That's what happens when you throw amethysts at their heads.
And what did we learn?
So cute.
That is very true. All right. Well, I think that's all we've got for Wyrmlings. So who has young?
Me. We can move on to
Let's
young.
Take us away.
So the young Amethyst Dragons are going to appear in more like when you're in levels 5 to 10. They are a CR 9. This is when they may be venturing more out to find their own lair. So you might find them more wandering. Maybe the lair might be really small because they're just trying to establish a space for themselves. You know, just flee. The first flight from the nest afar.
Whee!
The connections in the book here are so cute. I want to list them all. Okay, we'll stick with 2. So the first one is a myconid community dwells in tunnels near a young amethyst dragon's lair, and its members telepathically commune with the dragon and any visitors in the lair from time to time. So it's that same kind of thing where it's like there's a mini community like living like with the amethyst dragons, and myconids are so cute as well. So I thought that was cute. Another one is a young amethyst dragon and a cloud giant regularly host each other to play strategy games.
That's pretty cute.
So
they're playing like D&D, but like like humans in houses.
Yeah, thought that was cute. And of course, plugs for giants. Gotta do it.
That's fair. I usually pick anything that says gnome in it just because it has a gnome. So
Yeah. Yeah. And so if we get into the stats, young Amethyst Dragons are large in size. Their AC is 18, so that's a slight bump from 17 as a Wyrmling. The hit point average is 168, so this is markedly higher than a Wyrmling. Speed is 40 feet, fly speed 80 feet, and swim speed 40 feet. So they can get around, and like we talked about, they will see you before you see them because they could be swimming or flying or hovering. Stats are well above average, with the highest being con and strength at +5, intelligence and charisma at +4, and the lowest is dex at +1, and wisdom is in the middle there at +2. Saving throws are pretty decent. Con is a +9. They also have dex, wisdom, and charisma is pretty high for saving throws. Skills, arcana is +12, so tracks with them searching and seeking information, and intelligence. Perception +10, persuasion +8, and stealth +5. So that speaks to, I think, again, that kind of sneaking in, getting a closer look, in like getting intel on what's around. They can do it pretty easily. We see the same damage resistances and condition immunities as the Wyrmling. Blind sight is further to 30 feet, and they still have the dark vision of 120 feet. Notable passive perception of 20. So yeah, you're not sneaking up on them. Here is where they do have common as language, along with draconic and telepathy of 120 feet. They are amphibious, as Peps mentioned. And actions, this is where multi-attack begins. So the young Amethyst Dragon can make 1 bite attack and 2 claw attacks on its turn. It has a +9 to hit. The bite has a 10-foot reach and 2d10 +5 piercing damage plus 1d8 force damage. The claw attack has a 5-foot reach and does 1d8 +5 slashing damage. So a bit of a bump from the Wyrmling as expected for total potential damage on that. Its breath weapon also, it has a recharge of 5 to 6 and has a bigger radius. So it's the gravitational force is a 30-foot cone this time, so double. And force damage is like one of the hardest to defend against, in my opinion, including like for many monsters. So I really like that this dragon is more force-based because it's kind of that tough one. So it bodes to being on its side. It would be a great ally if you did have to fight, because that force damage can hurt a lot of other monsters, let alone your party. In that breath weapon, the DC is up to 17 for a strength save, or take 8d8 force damage, and then your speed is 0 until the start of the dragon's next turn. On a successful save, you only take half damage. We covered the spell casting abilities. They use intelligence, and the DC is 16 on that. So they are pretty bumped up from the Wyrmling. Could be potentially more dangerous if you're up against them, but a pretty phenomenal ally if you have them with you and you're in an encounter where they're going to fight for you.
Yeah.
All
right, let's roll again. Some more questions.
18.
6.
Oh my God. Charlie Dice is low today. 2.
Damn it, Charlie Dice.
They're pretty though.
Megan, you're first again.
How fun for me.
You're winning this episode.
I'm winning D&D.
It's always nice when I'm not asking myself questions.
That's fair.
Somebody else goes first.
Yeah.
All right. So for the young, do you have a different quest idea?
I like
that's not floats.
Kind of. The only thing that I would add is like now, because like when they were young, like the Wyrmlings, they're with their flump figuring out their life. I feel like because as a young dragon, they're starting to build their own lair. That if you were to come across one, it's basically, again, it's just starting out. It's got one box of items in its little lair, and it's like trying to figure out its, how it's going to look and things like that. So it's a little bit chaotic, but they're starting to organize their own space. They've got like their emo posters up in the corner. They've got, you know what I mean? Like they're building their own bedroom for the first time, and they're super proud of it.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you were going to come across one and have have a quest to have one or come across one, they're going to be really proud of the space that they're making. And like that just leads into the role-playing aspect, and how I would role-play this one is that they're getting very proud of what they're building and like very boisterous about it, and being like, they want you to come see their lair, because again, they're not combative in my mind. They're very much like, I want to have an economic relationship with the things that are around me. So as a young dragon, as it's building, it's also starting to build relationships with you. So it's going to have conversations with you, because I think they get common at this point, right? As young, or are they still?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they can communicate with you now, and they're not as like hyperactive and ADHD-esque. Like they're going to be able to have that conversation. And this might be the young dragon that you helped find when it was a flump, when it ran away from its flump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and it sends you a telepathic message being like, come see my new lair. It's all mine.
Let's come hang out. We'll play games.
Yeah, we'll play some humans and whatever. But yeah, that's my theory. It's not, I would say, like an in-depth quest of any kind, but that's how I would play it if you found one.
I think for quest at this point, they would be learning more about the multiverse and the different realms, and that. I think they would want to go see those things themselves, but not necessarily know how to. So they would be looking for that magical item, that information on how to get there. So especially if you're in a campaign that you've been to different realms and it would sort of know that based on just it knowing things and gathering information, it could possibly get that information and like want to ask you all the questions, and how do you get there, and can you show me? So it would be sort of taking this dragon with you to explore the different realms and finding it, because it would know it has echoes, I think, at this point. So it would want to experience that.
Yeah, and it might be looking for its first like epic hoard piece as well. So it might be like seeking out, it's like, what you got? What's going on here? And kind of like wandering around finding like the perfect piece to start its own hoard. And so that could be like a cool spin too. And I also think it won't necessarily be that far from the like parents' lair. You know, it's like they're skirting out, but like if shit goes down, it's like like they can go and fish out of mom's pond, you know, if food gets scarce. It's like, I'm not doing very well on this pond population, so I'm just gonna go home and have dinner.
I'm gonna bring my laundry home to mom's house.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, they moved away to college, but still need to go back to do laundry and get a home cooked meal.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So it's also like in the same vein as the Wyrmling, like don't do anything too bad because mama might come after you. This will be in the same. It's like, oh, like real, don't fuck around with it too much because you might still have mama coming after you.
Yeah. I like to branch off of your thought, Casey, about the fact that they are looking for their first hoard piece. I feel like they're going to try and complete a piece of their mom's collection. Like maybe the mom's been collecting some very specific like artifacts of a very specific group of adventurers, and there's like one artifact left that she never really got. And so their first quest is to go and find this one item, but it's the same item your group is after. Like your group of
boy.
And so like the competition now is who can get it first. And then if you get it first, you're probably gonna have to fight this dragon who's now like, well, no, I want this item for my mom's hoard. Like, fuck off. Like
Yep.
I just had a branched off idea of mine. If it did find how to get to one of the other realms, but then got stuck there, and it has to seek you out to get back to its home.
Yeah.
It's like, I know how to travel, but not well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, I fucked it up.
It's my first day.
Oh,
You just find this lost young dragon, and you have to help it back home.
I flew too close to the sun, Mom.
Okay, so Megan, you had already talked about some role-playing aspects. Do you have
Yep.
anything to add to that?
Not really. I think that it is that they're like, they are wanting to learn. So I feel like
Yeah.
to our point where when they were kids with ADHD, they were asking a lot of questions, but you couldn't understand what they were asking you.
Mhm.
As a young adults, they can now basically ask those questions, but they're more constructed. They're more like they're legitimately wanting to know about you, where you come from, what you're
Mhm.
after, what your goals are. Mostly in terms of like, can you help me do what I need to do? Not necessarily in I am interested in you as a person, but like I have my own life goals, but I want to know what you know so that I can try and find what I need to find. So it's going to be very inquisitive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It would have the questions, but not as annoyingly as the Wyrmling.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
They'd be more strategic and thought out questions, at least a little bit. Do you think they would be like that teenager that thinks they have it figured out but doesn't? like they think they know things, but it's not accurate.
Every time you answer its question, it's like, oh, I knew that.
Yeah,
I knew that. Yeah.
I think that's another way you could go with them is
Yeah.
like that teenager that is sure that they know. And like, you know, yeah, I know.
I know. I got it.
Yeah. Like you come across them doing something so bizarre and then it's like, why are you doing it this way? Isn't this what you want? And they're like, oh yeah, I left it there.
Uh-huh.
Unbridled confidence.
Yeah, I totally meant to do that.
It's supposed to be there. Don't you put it there? That's where I always put it.
All right, what do we have any new exploration or clue ideas for the young?
To our point of speaking about these ones would have hoards, is like
Mhm.
you would come across a hoard, but it would not be like the size of a proper dragon's hoard. It would just be like the starting of the collection. So if you're wandering through a cave or you're at the hot springs or what have you, you're going to find like a not very well hidden small little hoard.
Yeah.
And because it doesn't know any better. It doesn't know that people are going to be after its stuff just yet, you know? So it's not going to be as like secretive. It's not going to be as like hidden and deep in the caves. I think it's going to be more at the outskirts of a cave. So their hoard will be easier to find. So I think that would be a good explorative clue to be like, why is all this stuff here? Like,
Yeah.
And like your normal adventure party would be like, well, if this was a dragon's hoard, I feel like it would be 1, be larger, and 2, be further into the cave, but it's just sitting here in the middle of nowhere. And then the young dragon's just like, what's wrong with that? What of it? It's on display.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just like my son's room. Like, what? It's clean. It's not clean.
Not clean. Let me show you all of the items that need to be put
All
away.
of the items. Just literally everything you own.
Yeah. This must look unlived in. Thank you.
Yeah, it could be as far as like the beautiful pond is, you know, embossed in gems, and that is actually all its layer is. And then over like under a tree or under a leaf, I imagine like, you know how dogs go and bury something and they spend so much time like pushing imaginary dirt over top of like their precious toy or their treat. It's like you see like the dragon swimming in the pond and it's got nice gems and stuff that it's building, and then there's like just this tiny pile over in the corner on the shore, and there's like one leaf on top of it that's trying to like, you know, mask that it's there, but it's like, that's your hoard. Like it's right there. I can see it, but good try.
I would almost, I think, give them a sort of wild magic table of their own. I think at this point they're getting some more of that magic that they have, that like time fuckery and displacement of items and things, but they can't quite control it yet at young. So like the chimneys that the, you know, is the puzzle and you go up if you go down and that kind of thing. I think they're kind of figuring that out, but not really. So there would just be a lot of like random things and spells that don't go quite right because they're still figuring it out. So you would just walk into like weird things that are supposed to do one thing, but do something completely different.
It's supposed to do that.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, that's what I meant.
I meant to do that.
It worked perfectly.
In fact, like when they're an adult or ancient dragon and their lair has that fucking tubular thing that if you fall forever in, that was actually a mistake made by a young dragon, and he just left it there.
And I just went with it. They're like, this is amazing.
What a fun thing I've created. And the mom's just like, that's fucking stupid. And it's just like, it's amazing.
It's amazing. Look, and it just drops a rock in it and it just falls forever. Like, you just see, like, they're just experimenting. So you just see something falling forever. And you're like, what is happening over there?
That's a good clue, though. That something larger of that aspect is going to come up, right? That you just see like a rock rotating in one circular motion or whatever. Like, what the fuck is that?
All right, so combat with the young. Do you think they're going to be more combative, or?
I think they will be a little bit more combative, but more in a way of showing off. The fact that their breath weapon is what it is, the fact that they can change shape and all these added aspects. Well, can they change shape at young, or is that not until adult?
Not yet.
Not yet, yeah. So, but yeah, because they now have like their breath weapon mixed in with a couple of extra spells, they're not going to be combative in such a way that like they want to hurt you, that they're going to want to show off.
Yeah.
Like that I can do these things. Because at the end of the day, when you look at an Amethyst Dragon, they're not combative. They want to be political. They want to make a good economy. I've said that many, many times. But like, so as a young, they're probably just going to be like, let me show you what I can do.
Yeah.
But if they use their breath weapon, it's pretty frightening for a young dragon, I think. Like, it's a good weapon.
They are considered the most powerful of the gym dragons. So in dragon stats, these are on par with the red and the gold.
Yeah.
So I think they're not necessarily combative, but if you did get into combat with them, like if you rolled up and started some shit, like they would stand their ground.
You're fucked. Yeah.
They're not going to necessarily start it themselves, but they will protect their own. And it's not going to go great for you. I do love, and I didn't mention this in the Wyrmling, but I love the idea of the bead of gravitational force forming in their mouths. I like that visual of it, because so many times with the breath weapons, we think of like fire shooting out and it just coming, and this creating that bead that you can see forming first, I think is a very cool visual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I have much to add. Those are all great.
You did great, guys. You did great.
We did great. Yeah, so don't mess with them is basically. If you're nice to them, they'll be nice to you.
Yeah.
100%.
All right, so that brings us to adults. Is that you again, Casey?
That is me again. Yeah. And I think the very same thing. It's like this is beefed up in abilities and be on their side. So the adult dragon is huge in size and has AC of 19. So we're bumping up a little more. The HP average is 229. So if you're going to be in combat with it, it's going to take a while. You got to have a lot of shit up your sleeve to try and like make it concerned about its life. The speed stays the same at 40 feet, fly speed 80 feet, swim speed 40 feet. Stat block is well above average. Strength and con are now peaking at +7. Intelligence and charisma not far behind at +5. And Dex again is the lowest at +2. Again, we see the same saving throw and skills as the young dragon stat, just a smidge higher. The con saving throw is now at +12, and the arcana skill checks have a +15. So again, they're going to seek out that info. They're going to be like intelligent, and they're also going to be strong. That base, them thighs, like their constitution's high. Same damage resistances and condition immunities. Blind sight, though, is extended again out to 60 feet now. Dark vision, 120 feet. Passive perception is now at 23. Languages, common, draconic, and telepathy at 120 feet. And we're into legendary resistances with 3 per day. So that's always the fun add-on. As actions, they have the multi-attack. It's a +12 to hit now. With the bite attack, it's a bit worse with a slightly higher modifier of 2d10 +7 piercing, and still the 2d8 force damage, which is, or not still, the force damage is now doubled at 2d8 from the young dragon. The claw attack is just a smidge worse with a higher modifier for 1d8 plus 7 slashing damage. But the adult dragon has 10-foot reach with its claws now. So that will be a multi-attack with bite and 2 claw attacks at 10-foot reach. So that's a bit more concerning. The singularity breath weapon, the gravitational force energy is released in a 60-foot cone now with a DC 20 strength save, or take 10 D8 force damage, and speed is dropped to 0 until the start of the dragon's next turn. So that is harsh, but we're dealing with a higher CR.
Yeah, like your casters aren't making that.
No, definitely
with it being a strength save, like maybe your fighters your tanks are, but anybody in the back, and 60 foot, like they're gonna hit the people in the back. And
absolutely, yeah, this is the CR 16 now we're into. And spell casting, as Peps mentioned, the add-on is control water here, which makes a lot of sense. They do have bonus actions now. Change shape. Adult dragon can transform into any small or medium creature, and it keeps its own stat blocks, just the size changes. So that's interesting. They also have psychic step. Adult dragon can teleport to an unoccupied space within 60 feet as a bonus action. Legendary actions, they have 3 per round. They can do a claw attack. They can use psionics, which uses 2 of those legendary actions, but they can use psychic step, or they can cast a spell as a legendary action. And then they have explosive crystal. So this will use all 3 of their legendary actions, but the adult dragon can spit an amethyst gem as essentially like a meteor. It can hit a point within 60 feet, and each creature within 20-foot radius of the impact point must make a DC 20 dex save or take 3d8 force damage and be knocked prone. Nothing happens if you succeed. So fun. Gem meteor is a fun little ability that pops up. Yeah,
it adds into my egg theory in that they explode from amethysts.
Yeah, it does. Case in point. Oh, and I did want to mention some connections, which I glazed over at the start. These are also really cute in the book. For one, clusters of shriekers serve as a warning system in the tunnels of an adult amethyst dragon's lair. So again, just using those little creatures that can just like happily cohabitate in your lair and serve a purpose. And then another one that was really cool was, in terms of moving into an option where there is maybe some combat or conflict, an adult amethyst dragon is at war with a beholder that has moved into the dragon's domain. So
fuck you, beholder.
Oh yeah. Fuck beholders, but just to put a spin on, like, there can be some conflict in the throes of Gem Dragon as well.
Yes. Well, and it does say in the lore they do hate aberrations. So anything from the far realm is gonna get their attention.
Yeah.
All right. Is that all you got for?
That's all I got. Yeah.
All right. Let's roll again. 16.
9.
5. Oh, come on, Charlie.
Oh, Casey.
Casey, I want to send you some dice just every time. You're like the lowest rolls.
I know. I always pick just like a couple D20. Like today I have 2, and then I leave everything else out of arm's reach. And so I think I need to bring my hoard.
Yeah,
and
just
then
bring all the dice.
Can just swap them in every time. New dice every roll.
Or roll a different dice every single one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm asking myself, quest ideas for adults. Do you guys ever have one and then lose it?
100%.
Before the question gets asked, like,
what year is it?
What was I just thinking? Oh, that's what it was. Okay, so they do, is the quote from Fizbin, and in their lore, they are sort of good mediators. They see the whole spectrum of things. So if you have an issue, they are something that you could go to help solve.
They're diplomatic. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I think either like if there's ever tension in your party, which there usually at some point comes to be because somebody is an edgelord and has some secret they're keeping from everybody. I
don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't sound like anybody's adventuring group I've ever heard of. What a new idea.
There's always that point where there's a conflict in your party. And I think that either they know that is coming because they have seen it in the different worlds and echoes and things like that, or using their spells, because at this point we do get the layer actions, we get the regional effects.
Yeah.
So they can use their legend lore and stuff. So if you're just in their area and they sense this, like they could call you to them and say, let's lay it all out. Like, let's get it here. Or if your party is having this issue, it would be a good way for the DM to send you to this to resolve that. Like you get an invitation, or you're told by a townsperson that hears you bickering, like you should go see this dragon to figure this out.
Like a mediator.
Yeah. So I think that would be a fun quest, especially if you come up with that in your party where you have that tension, to go to this and have like group therapy.
Yeah. Again, I love the idea that it's been watching you like you're like some kind of live like comedy show basically, and it's just like, I can't have Kevin and Kyle fighting anymore. I just need them to get along. It's ruining the show.
We do all get to that point with reality TV where you're just screaming at them like, why are you being this way?
Yeah. Why are you being such a jerk?
Yeah, you are wrong. So I think that would be a good way to introduce these.
It just sends a horde of flumps your way.
Yeah, like... and collects you to bring you back.
Yeah, you fall asleep one morning and you wake up with being dragged across the ground by a flump. Just like, what? What's happening?
We need to resolve this now.
Yeah, we need to figure this out. For me, like to your point, I feel like the regional effects, because they start to take place, these are the ones that are going to start, these adult dragons are the ones that are going to start building the economy around it, right? Like wherever they've decided to start building their lair, all the fish are going to start to arrive, which means that there's going to be more regular life coming in. Towns are going to start being built. So it's going to start making those economic connections, right? So I feel like if you walk into a town, it's because a town is scared of this dragon that just appeared, and you're tasked to go and kill this adult dragon. But when you get there, the adult dragon's like, no, I want to make and then that becomes the combatant of like the classic, do we kill the dragon because it's Dungeons and Dragons, or do we talk about it and make an economic circle of people, right? It gives your players that conflict, right? Because this dragon legitimately is like, no, I wouldn't mind having the fishing village here because I kind of need it, because it'd be really cool if we made like an agreement where I'll keep the land safe if you just bring me the fish because I'm lazy and want to watch my shows and my stories. Right. But again, it's that conflict, right? You go to a village, the village is like, there's this dragon here. Like there's a lot of fish. We want to live here forever, but there's this dragon here we need to get rid of. And like, let's say your party goes and gets rid of the dragon. All of a sudden, all the fish disappear. And then it's like, what happened? Right. So it's like that cause and effect of what your party is doing. Yeah.
Yeah. I would absolutely use like the change shape. So it could potentially live in a community as a human or other like small or medium creature, and get the vibe of the area. Be like sit at the bar and be like, so what do you think about dragons?
I'm imagining that meme that's like, hello, fellow students. It's just an old man.
Right? And it could do that for years.
Oh,
and then just like, keep its lair in secret, and then be like, is this the space? Is this where okay, let's build something here. But if it's like, no, it's like, okay, moving on, next village.
It wants to hear what the townspeople are saying about it. So it goes in every once in a while just to get the goss.
Yeah.
This town is not the vibe. I'm going to move on.
Vibes are off.
Yeah, and then there's that whole fun thing about being an NPC that your party befriends, and you are on the road with it for a while. Maybe you are seeking out the Amethyst Dragon, and you come across an NPC on the road and it is the dragon, and it just like entertains itself while it watches you figure out how the hell to find this Amethyst Dragon, and it's just like, hee hee.
Yeah, it's the Amethyst Dragon trying to figure out if it's like defenses are good enough, you know, like to see if it's like tricks. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, or like, and it starts like there's hints of its lair, and your party misses them, and they're just like, shit. It's like, need to beef that up.
Yeah, they solve the puzzle in like 1 minute, and then the dragon's like, shit.
Yes.
So role playing with the adults versus the young, how would we change that up? Which I'm asking myself. I think at this point they would definitely be more sure of themselves. They would be, like I said, they would have the knowledge at this point of all the different lands and the good versus evil, and they would have that understanding of like the full picture. These are very full picture. So they're going to see things that your party's not going to see. You know, they're going to have that information of, I know that this guy did that thing, but it was for a good reason. And they're going to, you know, explain that to your party so you don't go off the rails and just murder hobo everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, and I do like that they would be in like a human form or something, and I would probably give them like purple eyes or something like that as like just a little hint. But I think that they would very much come up to you and like low key solve your problems.
Yeah, like, have you tried talking to them? You know, like, it just has like such like normal advice, you know?
Yes. And it is very straightforward advice according to Fizbin. Like, well, stop doing that.
Yeah, I don't understand why we're doing this then.
Yeah,
like,
just talk.
Just talk about it. Stuff like, but no, I
Did you ask?
Yeah. Did you ask him if that was going to be okay? Did you try the doorknob? No? Okay, well, maybe try that first. Did you turn it off and then turn it back on again? Okay.
They're your IT guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, but I love that, like, it wants you to find the answer yourself. Like, it knows how to fix the problem, but it's like, I still want you to figure it out for yourself. I think it's the way these ones would communicate it, because it's like, it knows that's the only way that you're going to learn. And it's just like, you could do it this way. But I agree, they're more diplomatic in that sense, where they're just like, they'll have the full-on conversation with you, and they would probably go into human form so that you aren't scared of it or thinking that like it's above you in any way, shape, or form, because it legitimately just wants to have a one-for-one conversation with you. It'll get on your level. It's not as full and high on its horse as it would be when it's a young one. This one is just more like, no, like, I can get on your level and we'll have a legitimate one-on-one conversation about what will work and what won't work. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could use the telepathy as well. Like, say it is an NPC that's going along with you. Like, in the middle of the night, the cleric gets a voice in its head, and it's just like the Amethyst Dragon over there pretending to sleep. But it causes like a big, like, massive concern in the morning. It's like, guys, I heard this voice and it told us to go this way and seek out this thing.
It had to be Lathander talking to me.
Yeah.
All right. For exploration and clues, we get the regional effects at this point, so I think those are going to be your biggest exploit. You're going to see more amethyst growing. You're going to see the water life expanding. I think those will be your biggest ones. I don't think the amethysts are necessarily going to be hiding the fact that they're there like some of the other dragons do. So I think it would be pretty easy to discover that they're in the area.
Yeah. I also think that like every time they fire off one of their like exploding amethysts or whatever, there's just going to be like random pots of where these exploding amethysts have hit, like just when it's out hunting or something like that. So if you're walking through the forest or whatever land you're in, you're going to see these like random puffs of amethyst.
Yeah. Or like divots in the ground where it hit and exploded.
Yeah. And one of the towns collects them to sell them, right? So like you're going to be in a town where suddenly like they sell a lot of amethyst, and it's like there's a port that sends all of the amethyst out into the world with the empire or whatever, right?
Right.
So it's the clues are going to be there that there is an Amethyst Dragon here, 100%. Because it doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, if you want to take my gems and sell them, awesome. You're keeping me safe. Don't care. Like, I have better treasures.
All right. Combat for the adults. Now, none of the gemstones or the gem dragons have tail attacks like your chromatics and your metallics do. I think with this one specifically being force damage and having that like beefy tail that they have, I would give this one a tail attack. I would just add that in. Like, it just makes sense that they would. Why would you have that thick of a tail if you're not going to use it?
And I feel like it would use its
That's
back
true.
legs to claw at you, because it's like using its like giant tree trunk legs to fucking boot you in the face. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Like standing behind a horse and getting kicked. Like
100%.
the kind of
You-
like poof.
You go behind the dragon thinking that you're kind of safe because you're like, oh, it doesn't have a tail attack, and all of a sudden just
Yeah.
fucking back horse kicks you in the face.
Yeah.
I don't do squats for nothing, bitches.
Yeah, and the tail attack could be like partially force damage and partially like piercing because it's covered in these like shard pointy gems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just like
Yeah, I like it.
bludgeoning,
I'll
like
allow it.
getting hit with a baseball bat, you know, like that
Yeah.
thing is, it's hefty.
I was gonna say bludgeoning, but yeah, no, these are the ones you don't want to fight. Just don't fight them. You know,
Don't fight 'em.
if you're gonna fight, because to your point, like they're up with red golds, like we're getting up there, and just the
Mhm.
scariness of fighting one of these things. It's a CR16. Like, you don't want to fight one of them. Like, you
Yeah.
don't. You're gonna want to be diplomatic, and if it does get into a combat, this one isn't gonna run. This one will use its ability to stop you from moving and then step on your face and be like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. If you don't want to work with me, then I don't want you to be alive.
Yeah.
Like,
Like they just don't have time for it.
I don't have time for this shit.
All right.
Agreed.
Now-
Cool.
Ancient, and that is Megan, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
All right. So, as always, ancients are going to be, of course, the extra beefed up. But the thing, as I always like to reiterate with these ones, is that as we get into it, the ancients, these ones are going to be the most diplomatic. So they're going to be the ones creating their economy, as they're welcoming in like other living beings, and they prefer that political conversation over war and fighting. Like, they're going to have a conversation with you to not have to fight. Like, it's going to protect its economy to the best it can without destroying the land it's created. I feel like it's going to be very proud of its land and its area, and it's
Mhm.
going to keep it safe. So if you're going to come in and rock up with I'm going to take over this castle, it's going to be like, but are you? And it's going to rock up to court as a human, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, sit down, sir.
Yeah, it will absolutely be on the council.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the council. Megan loves a good council, we've learned. All right, but when we get into the stats, these ones, so their AC is 20, of course, with their natural armor, and a whopping average of almost 500 hit points. Their walking speed stays 40, their fly 80, and their swim 40. Their highest stats are in strength and int and con at a whopping +8, so a huge increase from its previous, and then goes down in order from charisma, wisdom, and then coming in last, their dex. But everything, of course, stays above average and gets beefed up from being an adult. Their arcana, perception, persuasion, and stealth go up immensely from being adult as well, obviously, including their passive perception, which also goes up to 28 as a
Oh,
passive.
shit.
This causes them to jump up to a CR of 23 from what we were speaking of. They were once a CR 16 as an adult. They are now a 23, which is quite frightening. They remain, of course, amphibious, as well as maintain their legendary resistances. For attacks, their bite, claw, and singularity breath and spellcasting DC all increase. They get more spells to add to the list as well. We now add that freedom of movement and plane shift we kind of talked about at the beginning of the episode. So those are the two that you get added to when you become an ancient, which I think fits, obviously, because this is now when they know where they're going. They're going to be traveling a lot, right? And I think that bodes to the appreciation of they want their economy to work because they're going to be leaving their lair,
Mhm.
right? And they don't want to leave the lair unguarded or unkempt or in a state where they might come back to it and it'll been taken over. But that's like a good thing to bring into as well. If there's conflict, this is when the beholder will probably come in, is when this ancient dragon is off on a plane adventure, right? Their change shape and psychic step bonus actions basically remain the same, as well as their legendary actions do carry over. The only additive is that their explosive crystal DC increases to 23 and the damage is increased to 4d8 instead of 3. So it's pretty deadly because no one is going to save that spell DC unless you are like a high tiered party. And it's only going to be your strongest barbarians, your strongest monks, like what your build would have to be built to withstand this. And no one is going to be smart enough to do that. So
and again,
like
force
maybe
damage.
your monk,
maybe
your
a monk.
rogue, maybe a rogue. A rogue could maybe.
Well, with their benefits and additives and like whatever background you took, you would have to build it to get those extra dice and extra rolls, right?
Because they would have evasion definitely at that point too.
Yeah,
both the
exactly.
monks and the rogues that they could get past that.
But you would need that special.
if they happened to save.
Yeah. But that's pretty much them. So
all right. So let's roll one last time.
Come on.
11.
12.
12.
Roll off. 15.
3.
Nice.
All right. So for quests with ancients, did you do creature connections real quick?
I didn't find any that I felt were specific. So if you have some, pop up, my guy.
You know what? That is, I have found a theme with when you get to ancient and the creature connections, they're all very just generic. Like I think all of the dragons I have found, you get like all these super fun ones, and then you get to ancient and they're just like meh.
Yeah, there's but I think that like bows the fact that once you're an ancient dragon, they tend to think that you're standalone. And like the connections that you have will carry over, I think is the theory. Like all of the creatures that you have within your lair are still going to be there. They're not going to leave. The flumps are still taking care of your babies. Like, so it's kind of, there's not a lot of whole like to add once you get to ancient because it's created its world. Like, so that's my theory around that anyways.
All right. Okay. So quest for the ancient. I would definitely go into the multiverse at this point. They have all this knowledge, they know all these things, they know all their echoes, they probably have met them, seen them at this point. I would use the multiverse when you get to ancient, whether it's if you get into like the great worms where they start like absorbing or killing off their echoes. I don't know that these would do that because they enjoy knowing their echoes, but I think that they would see it happening with another type of dragon. And all of them would need your help to defeat that so it doesn't happen, because that's too powerful and, too much. And it destroys the balance in all of the multiverses to have not those echoes in place. So I would use that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I think these are something you may seek out, and you may have to go through portals and go on a long search to find them, because they have a very specific like scroll or ledger that you need to find, and you have to follow paper trails, and you find a lot of false leads, you find a lot of echoes. You have to find hoards that don't have the right like information, but you are in the right place, just the wrong one. And lots of fuckery that way, because that's how they would be setting it up. And then they absolutely would not be in the same like plane that their hoard is. They would be somewhere else. So you have to find them first, then potentially solve really complicated puzzles to figure out where their lair is, because they will just be setting it up that way. It's like, oh, you want that? Okay. If you can do this, have at her.
Love that. I like the idea that like it's hunkered down at this point, because like it's now an ancient dragon, it's well traveled, it's lived a life, and now it's hunkering down to start having its babies and like building its economy that way, and then sending those ones off to fly. But they're now well infiltrated into the towns that are around them, and they have the whole fucking kingdom to themselves. They take like the form of a human or whatever species they're infiltrated into. And now they're the head of my court. So they're the one that does all the rulings. They're the judge. They're like the judge, jury, and like the whole thing of this whole economy. And so if you rock up to this town to do a thing, you have to gain presence with this thing so that they can determine whether or not you are worthy of being within their town. And it knows you arrived. So your traveling party arrives, and then it sends its lackeys out to go and get you, because it's like, no, you need to be judged to see if you are worthy of being here. And then you get a presence with this this court, like magistrate or what have you, and you have this like huge like political conversation with it to determine whether you're allowed to be there or not. So then you start doing the research and learning about this thing, and you find out that it might be an ancient dragon, but technically it's an echo, because the actual any ancient dragon is still off traveling. But it left this behind to keep its economy going, so that it won't come home to tragedy. So that's why the judge in this version of this echo is basically like, well, no, you don't belong here. Get out. Like, we keep this land safe from people like you and XYZ, right? So that would be my like thing. I would love it that you're dealing with the echo of it keeping its old layer safe while it's off doing its thing.
Yeah. Very cool.
Okay. All right. Was that everybody's quest?
Yes.
All right. So role playing for the ancient level. I think at this point they would just be very straight to the point. They do not have time to explain anymore. You know, they don't care to. They're not going to put it into nice words. They're just going to be blunt and, why are you doing that thing? Stop doing that thing.
Yeah, they're old and tired.
Yeah, they're like, I don't have the patience to explain this to you. You should already know.
I tried to let you figure it out yourself. I tried to counsel you softly.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it anymore.
I'm not doing it. Stop doing that thing. That's just... They're just over it, which they will still give you counseling and, you know, guidance and stuff, but they're just going to be very like blunt about it.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Take it or leave it. This is what you need to do. I don't care if you don't like it.
Yeah.
And I do like the role playing aspect that you talked about, Megan, where it's like the be all end all of this like kingdom now. I think this could be an aspect where a DM could do some world building and create a whole world, and it could be like a little taste of that instead of, you know, a massive picture. And so that could be fun, where it's like, what kind of like village and farming and all of that would an Amethyst Dragon create and build all of that off? And then what would its character be and personality be to the villagers or to whoever? That would be really fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it would be very blunt, very straightforward, to the point. No fuss, no muss. If you're being an idiot, it's gonna get out of my town.
Yeah.
Like,
you're like, stop being an idiot. You're wrong.
Don't have time for
I
your
don't
shit.
have time to explain to you why you're wrong, but you're wrong.
Yeah. If you can't figure it out, that's a you problem.
Just stop.
Yeah.
All right. So exploration and clues at ancient, I think it would be very similar to adult, just more. You know, their regional effects have been in place for so long. You're gonna find if you come up onto a shore, like there's going to be geodes just like everywhere of you know, amethyst, and they do have that like clairvoyant spell and talking through water. So even if you don't know that they're there, they could still like see through the water and talk to you, and they have the telepathy. And I would use the telepathy through the water, you know, if you're within that 120 foot of the water, like you hear a voice, you know, saying whatever, like you're going the wrong way. Why are you doing that? So I mean, they would be very easy to, not necessarily their layers, because they do have hidden, you know, layers and their entrances and stuff. I think that would be hard to get into and find. But I think knowing that they're somewhere in the area would be pretty obvious.
Yeah, they're not hiding it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they, like, I think, like we talked about, where like there could be lots of other races and creatures that are just like in an agreement to do things for the dragon, and those creatures might have like little symbols or like amethyst necklaces or something. Like, it's like, we look after, you know, this pond and make sure that the fish are happy, and then it's like, we guard this one secret entrance and this is what we do. And so they would have lots of like, it would be like minions, but they're happily doing that for the dragon as well. So they like a whole whack of workers to keep all of this going, and maybe each one that is in direct like employment, we'll say, for the dragon has like a little symbol that indicates that they're part of the cohort with this Amethyst Dragon. So if you notice that, it's like, wait, like that's not the symbol of the village. What is that? You know,
we love a good cult.
They all have like a background reason onto why. Like, what is why do you follow this dragon? Oh, they saved my marriage. Yeah, we had this big
Yeah.
we had this big fight and they figured it out for us.
We would have divorced a long time ago, but here we are today. Yeah.
Happy.
No. And I love the idea that like the church of this dragon, like if it's still staying within its lair and it's not like infiltrated into the world, and my vision of it being a court and a human XYZ, the church they would have would just be a pool of water that like leads into like the mountain that it lives in, so that if it wants, so people want to go talk to the dragon and like be able to have a moment with it to get advice, you just go and stand in this pool of water, and then it knows to communicate, and it'll telepathically like water communicate with you and like have a conversation if it deems you worthy of solving your problem for you. And that's how it can stay in its lair and stay thick and just lay around and talk to people through the water, and that's how it helps its village from a distance, right?
Yeah.
Just staying thick.
Staying thick.
All right, so for combat for the ancient, don't do it again. Like their stats are so beefed up, you're just not gonna win, you know.
Yeah, there's no point. And like if you're fighting an ancient dragon, you're fighting its whole economy.
Yeah, you're fighting, and this one has, it's not just like, it's not slaves or servants that don't want to be there.
No.
Like everybody that is there is because they enjoy this dragon and want to be there and serve it willingly. So like they're going to go to bat. You're not going to be able to like start a war within their minions or anything like that. They're not going to turn their back on the dragon. So you have all of those to get through first. And then this guy, which is just so beefy. I heard it's 444 hit points as an average. That's quite a lot. So I mean, I would definitely play with, they have so many things with the multi-attack, with their spells at this point. They can do all of those spells and get one a day on all of them. Their breath weapons went up to a 90-foot cone with a 23 strength.
It's built to stop your movement and run.
It is, it is
and then
built
murder
to stop you. And
I picture it stopping you and then just dropping you in the chimney. So the next turn, you're just falling and you can't stop falling unless somebody comes and gets you out.
Yeah.
Like it's just stopping you one by one and dropping you in there.
And the dragon's like, I'll get you out if you stop being an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, probably most ancient dragons are just really fun for the DM to play.
Uh-huh.
Like this one, I really do not see where you would be in combat against it. But if you, there's that angle of it being an ally, and you would see the whole breadth of its abilities as an ally. So you see it on its turn, like shoot some motes and like totally fuck up what you're trying to fight with it. And that's where you would enjoy its combat abilities, which is the much better scenario. But you would still get to see the full like suite of what it can do because they're so cool. But yeah, there's just rare opportunities where there is even a point to trying to go into combat with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you always have that murder hobo group that's going to run in and, you know, hit first and ask later to survive. So there's always that chance that you have that. Or if you have like an evil party, you know, that just wants to loot the crystals and that kind of stuff, or gain its knowledge and it doesn't want to share.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't recommend it.
Yep, just don't do it.
You can.
Yeah,
but don't.
Unless you guys want to start a new campaign with a whole new set of characters.
Highly not recommended.
Yeah. All right. That wraps up this episode. So let's cut to our last ad break.
If you've been inspired by the conversation in this episode, please feel free to reach out and share your creativity and ideas with us and the rest of the community. You can reach us on Facebook and Instagram, or on our subreddit at r/itsamimic. Also, if you're feeling particularly generous, please follow and subscribe and leave us positive reviews, likes, and comments. Engagement like that helps us pop up on search engines and keep this show running.
All right, team. Any final thoughts on these dragons? Are they your favorites? Are they your least favorites? How do we feel about Amethyst Dragons? Because it's the last of the gem dragons. This is wrapping it up, Peps.
It is. Of the gem dragons, it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
And I find that with the top tier of all of the dragons. Red dragons are not my favorite. Gold dragons are not my favorite. I'm not the biggest fan of just being beefy to be beefy.
Okay, but she's thick. Okay.
But she's thick. I do enjoy, that was my thoughts going into this prep. When I just saw the stats and, knowing they were compared to red and gold. But I do like some of their allure to them. I do like the sort of chaos of their magic and the like sleeping on two hoards and the making their, echoes to be over here and over there. I like that trickery. I like that sort of chaos that brings to combat and encounters. So I do enjoy that part of them. And I enjoy that they're thick. I do. But I would definitely, like I said, give them a tail attack. I think of all the gems, these ones deserve it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. No, but I enjoy these ones. I think they're awesome. I think they're really cool. I think there's a lot of aspects you can use, to your point. You can use trickery if it wants to trick with you. It can be straightforward and blunt with you if it wants to be straightforward and blunt with you. It can kick you out of its town if it wants to. To our point earlier, there's no reason why you would fight one. It's very hard to find a reason to fight one unless you are a murder hobo and an asshole and playing an evil game.
Unless you just want to fuck around and find out.
Yeah, or just
you're
fuck
gonna
around, find out.
You're gonna find out.
One way or another way, you're gonna find out. But that's what I like about them, is that we're so used to reading dragons and being like, this is what I would do to get into battle with one. I would not battle one of these. I would want to be a part of its economy. I'd be like, yes, let me be the hand of the queen, this thick queen. I will do it.
Yeah, and that's enjoyable. And how we talked about the evolution from the Wyrmling to the ancient dragon, where they want to have their own space, and they'll make it hard to actually get in once they're at the ancient level. But then there's lots of this playing around with kind of a happy community, where you might not see that much with other Wyrmlings and stuff, but it's you might encounter them just having a fun swim in the pool, and you can interact with them, and nothing bad's gonna happen.
Yeah, I could see the whole community protecting the Wyrmling. They all have eyes on it because they know the mom, so well that they all have eyes on the Wyrmling just jumping around causing chaos.
Give the flump a break every once in a while.
Yeah, that poor flump.
So that's all for our discussion on Amethyst Dragons. Make sure that you subscribe or follow and check back regularly to see what inspirations and insights we'll have for you in the future. Next week, we'll be sniffing around more martial character builds to get a taste for more feats. I'm sure it'll knock your socks off.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. If you'd like to support us, we have a donate button on our website, www.itsamimic.com. A store with some It's a Mimic merch, and a Patreon. This episode and others can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and most other podcast apps. Thanks again for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're gonna get.
This has been an It's a Mimic production. Please check the show notes for this episode to see links, time codes, and credits. And don't forget to reach out and share your own inspirations.
Your hair is amazing.
Thank you. It's at that stage where I don't know what to do with it, because I definitely look like Lord Farquaad if I do nothing with it.
As much knowledge as an Amethyst Dragon hoard. When can I ever get through one straight?
It's a classic Casey morning. Classic Casey morning.
I like that you just stopped at whore.
Like an amethyst whore. I'm gonna soundbite that one. I love a good Amethyst Dragon whore.
There's some pretty funny ones. Mia and I was laughing about them before. So. The first one that I liked. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the beer holder. It's not a beer holder. It's a beer holder, and It is a beholder with the sideways ball cap on.
Yeah.
And every one of the tentacle stalks has got a different foaming beer mug in its hands. And it's got this big shit-eating grin. It looks like a bro. It looks like a frat boy dude bro.
Yeah, that's the frat beholder for sure.
It makes me laugh every time I see it. And it's one of the things that he keeps like I ran across it on his Twitter and his Instagram and like there's I was laughing pretty hard about that. But let me click around a bit. I found his Patreon first, and there are like he's got 5 different levels of membership for it. But like it's just the second one that gets you literally all of his shit, and everything else beyond that is just like extra bonus. If you like my stuff, thanks for helping me out. But look at this freaking dragon in the banner there.
That's awesome. And all the Patreon levels are dragon named, which I enjoy.
This is Zugtmoy, who's the like demon lord of fungi and shit. This looks like it's directly designed off of the Mordenkainen's like splash page.
Yeah.
It looks so cool. The detail, the level of especially the skirt down the front there.
Yeah. The like mushrooms growing down it.
Oh my god, it's absolutely wild. And now this is like he's got patrons that are printing the stuff off and painting it because he just does the free STL files, and that's what we're talking about today. But a lot of these prints and the paint jobs are amazing. There's so much detail going on here, and you don't normally get that on like free STLs you find online.
Yeah, for sure.
Generic and cartoony. I'm gonna start clicking around on this stuff, Pat. You tell me when to stop because I'm blown away by it all. I like this one.
Oh, that one's funny. That's a Megan one for sure.
This is the 3 kobolds in the parka from Icewind Dale. But it's weirdly cute as well, which
or just their faces poking out of it.
Yeah,
we need to get that one for Megan.
the toes and the tail sticking out the bottom as well. But again, the level of detail on it is fine. Let's
like
get
the
into
fur
a couple
on the
of
coat and trim and that kind of stuff. It's very defined.
Here we go, Peps. This is, I believe, Dragon from Tome of Beasts.
Okay.
Which is one of the biggest. Are you familiar with Tome of Beasts?
I don't think so.
Tome of Beasts is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, and most popular bestiary that's like from a third party publisher. So there's Tome of Beasts. I think they got up to Tome of Beasts 3. We've had requests for us to cover those as well, but I don't know if it's covered in the OGL, so we never do. But there are some incredibly interesting monsters in there. And again, I would love to just go out and buy that and use it in my own game, but I'll never get minis for them, so I never bother because I like to do the whole completionist thing. This guy makes the minis for them too, right? Like this is the Flame Dragon from Tome of Beasts, and there are a bunch of different dragons in there that I'm like, well, Peps is we'll never see Peps again now. He's gonna quit the podcast to paint these. Then we get the Hydra Goose, which is a 4-legged goose with 5 heads.
Oh, that's terrifying.
I've actually seen this.
That's a terrifying thought. A goose coming at you with 5 heads.
Could you imagine this was a Canadian goose? This is actually a meme online, right? I think you can find a stat block for this. But we're gonna run into. There's another one he does later that's kind of similar, but I think it's hilarious. He also did. I found a picture of a bunch of demons, including bigger dretches than the models that we get in the actual WizKids. Or sorry, not the WizKids, but the
wizards.
Yeah, the wizards packs that we get. So there's a Quasit, there's an imp in a top hat.
I love the top hat. That was my first looking at this picture. I love the top hat one.
I'm all about the Abyssal Maw and the Abyssal Chicken, and these are things that I really, really want to drop 3 or 4 of these down on a table and terrorize my players with them. But I can never, you get them in the random pull, you get 1, right? And I'm not going to go spend $900 trying to find 4 Abyssal Wretches, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that these 3D models are free, if I had a 3D printer, my God, it would be going 24/7. Here we go. This is what I wanted to show you. Big ass Cthulhu model. Ooh. So this is on his My Mini Factory.
Yeah.
Again, he's under MZ420. I'm going to put a link in the show notes for people. But specifically for the My Mini Factory one, because it's got a lot of his stuff displayed here. But he's got everything from Cthulhu to it says Tiamat, totally not a bunch of Wyrmlings in a trench coat.
And a trench coat.
It's got the False Hydra mini as well, but then it looks like he went on like a holiday theme here for a minute.
Yeah,
evil Easter bunny and the
I actually
Hydra.
ran a Christmas themed game where the Easter bunny was the BBEG, so that would have been absolutely perfect.
I like this. It is the bacon moose.
A
That's
bacon
to me
moose.
as a Canadian. But look at those mimics. The gazebo mimic, the tombstone mimic. Like there's some great shit in here.
Yeah. Even just a group of melted candles, like that stuff that's hard to find but makes like so much ambience, to your
Absolutely.
if you're making a shrine or something like that.
Look at the detail of the wax melting.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is not just I love me a good Hero Forge mini. These seem to be higher quality STLs. Just they're not as rounded over and what. Look at this, the pile of skulls and the summoning circle that you can drop down. That's incredible. I'd love to have it. I mean, I'm not wild about having a pentagram in the middle of my table, but like,
but it's covered in candles too, which I imagine have that same like melted.
Oh yeah, you got to think like these things are huge. Zombies coming out of the ground, all those hands reaching up. You print off, a couple. 6 or 8 of these, you can cover a map with that. Like that's really cool traps. And then dinosaurs and kobold artillery crew. What is that? 4 kobolds with a cannon.
Yeah, it looks like they've got goblins tied up.
Tied up goblins. the thought, the creativity. I love they have the tricorner hats on all of the.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! It's so good.
Do you think they're putting the goblins in the cannon to shoot out?
Oh my god! Well, they are now.
They are now. I don't see any cannonballs. I just see goblins. So,
so like, there's also the candle golem is pretty fun. Like, there's a lot of really cool shit on here, including the sky swimmer from Ravnica. This thing is a gargantuan thing, and it says in the description here. Here's a large and freaky looking sky monster from Ravnica. I split it up to make life a little easier for printing, although those spikes are still going to be a pain. Full files are in the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica folder, which means he is systematically working through the books, right?
Yeah.
And this is not a creature you're ever going to get a mini for. And it's amazing because this thing is a huge, nasty, like worm that flies through the sky.
Yeah.
Those spikes are crazy.
They are.
And then here's
Did you see
the
in the corner of that there is a little gelatinous wizard, a gelatinous cube wizard?
Yeah, it's a gelatinous cube with the.
He's adorable.
Yes, he is. I saw a really cool. Hold on, where was it? I saw a really cool plasmoid. So that's hold on, where did he go? But like we have Death Giants, which is already ahead of the book on that. There's your gelatinous cube wizard. I don't want to take up a whole bunch of time here scrolling, but like I found there we go. Plasmoid Explorer. A plasmoid with a backpack on and stuff. Like you're not going to find this in any other mini pack. There are a couple of really funny ones in here. He also has one which is like a I'm trying to find. There you go. There's the chicken legs.
With the taco truck.
But like there's an entire Spelljammer ship.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much good stuff in here. Nothing
and different variations. I've seen like a female druid with like different, it was an Azamar with like different wing variations too. So you can make it a little bit more unique to your character.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for is the customizability in a lot of this stuff. There we go. Look.
Yeah, I love that one. They're leaves.
Holy shit, that's so cool. Which is great for a druid. That makes perfect sense. So creative and interesting.
I keep wanting to click on all the buttons on the screen, but it's not my screen.
Oh, oops. Hold on.
Why are you still here? Leave already.